And with the amount of classification that the Obama administration has overseen in terms of classifying a whole new sort of, I guess, a whole new set of documents as classified, it's almost impossible to imagine that there is a newsroom in the country that wouldn't have one reporter who couldn't be subject to this type of prosecution.
I mean, absolutely. Look, I mean, I don't, I do mostly opinion journalism, but I periodically have reported on classified information. I'm actually working on a couple of things now that involve that. Every single thing that you do when you do that kind of reporting entails talking to your source about the means that you're going to use to communicate, about how to cover up what it is that you're doing so nobody finds out about it in advance. You always find ways to encourage your source to do it by explaining to them the reasons why it's a noble and productive thing to do. You talk them out of their fears. You talk them through the process. If you go and talk to any investigative journalist in the United States, as I've done many times over the past 4 years, who work for the most protected and entrenched institutions, they will all tell you that they are now operating in a climate of unprecedented fear. Their sources are afraid, and they're afraid. They're petrified. The nation's most celebrated investigative journalist, probably at this point, James Risen, who won the Pulitzer Prize in 2006 for exposing the Bush administration's warrantless eavesdropping program, who works for the New York Times, is in the middle of an extremely serious litigation where he faces jail time because he refuses to divulge communications that he had with one of his sources, who is now the target of one of these Obama prosecutions. And this climate of fear has made it very difficult. They all say, Jane Mayer has said it in the last couple of weeks, Mark Mazzetti of the New York Times has said it, has made it very difficult for them to report on what the government is doing. What the Obama DOJ is deliberately doing is making it so that the only information the American public can learn about is information that the government itself discloses, and making all other information that they don't want disclosed impossible to learn about. And that is a real threat to press freedom, and it's a recipe for having a model of government propaganda where the only information that we get to learn about is information that the government wants us to know.
I mean, this is the point that I think can't be emphasized enough, is that the Obama administration has been very generous in terms of leaks when it's information that they want to reveal. They will allow for a movie to be made on the capture of Osama bin Laden. They will continually feed journalists leaks as long as they can control this. And so this is really a question of seen holistically. We have a government that has classified documents at a rate as top secret at a rate faster than any other administration. We have seen an increase in the national security state, and simultaneously met with a crackdown on the ability of of U.S. citizens to know what's going on within their government.
Yeah, I mean, this is, to me, the key issue, which is it would be one thing if the Obama administration were really serious about protecting classified information. I would certainly disagree with their secrecy obsession in that case, but at least it would be an authentic claim. The Obama administration loves leaks of classified information. I don't think there's been an administration that has used leaks more prolifically or manipulatively than they have. I mean, they constantly go into court and tell courts that they cannot respond to requests under the Freedom of Information Act or to media requests or to congressional inquiries because all kinds of things that those entities are investigating are so secret. And yet they then go to the New York Times and to other media outlets and leak prolifically, profusely about those very same programs in order to make the president look strong and tough and powerful and boast about all the great things he's doing in the classified setting. So what they're doing is they're making sure that information that glorifies Obama gets leaked continuously, but any information that might be used to check the authenticity of those claims that the government is making or to expose information that doesn't make the president look good is suppressed using the force of law. And it's this manipulative abuse of secrecy powers that is so threatening and that the Obama administration has really taken to all new heights.
In fact, I mean, we know that, and Marcy Wheeler has been doing tremendous work on this, but it is quite clear from what we know and what has been reported in various outlets that, at the very least, ostensibly the leak that the AP records were subpoenaed for, the leak essentially came from John Brennan. Maybe inadvertently, maybe not. We just don't know. But the idea that there was the CIA had an inside, or the intelligence agencies that working with the CIA had an inside operator with this bomb plot, this so-called Underwear Bomber 2 plot, we know came from John Brennan in his attempt to spin, essentially, some former counterterrorism officials who were about to go on TV. And so it's just one more example of, I mean, do you think, I mean, it's very hard to get into sort of the mind of Obama and the administration, but what accounts for this? I mean, it can't simply be. It seems to me it can't simply be the politics of it. There's something else that has taken hold here that it doesn't necessarily have to do with electoral politics, because, of course, at this point we're behind that. These type of issues are fairly. I mean, I don't feel like the American public's paying much attention to it one way or another. I don't think the American public was terribly invested in Thomas Drake being hounded for years after the Bush administration. What accounts for this? And I appreciate that this is, complete speculation, but in your sense, what accounts for this?
I think that when people get into power who believe in their own goodness, they begin to believe that their conduct is justifiable inherently because they are good people who, by definition, are pursuing good ends. And I think it's very much how Obama and the people who surround him see themselves. And when you see yourself that way, as an inherently good person pursuing inherently good ends, you start to believe that you don't actually need checks or scrutiny or oversight from other institutions, because that's only for people who have malicious motives. And you can even begin to believe, in fact, that checks from other institutions filled with people who aren't as good as you are actually destructive or counterproductive. And I think we saw that with Obama's belief that the U.S. should go to war in Libya, and he continued to prosecute that war even once the GOP-led House rejected the war's authorization. And if you talk to Obama supporters to this day, they will say that was the right thing to do because the House is controlled by these evil Republicans, and so you can't be constrained by what that institution decides, even though the Constitution says that war shall only be fought with the authorization of Congress. And I think Obama has a view of himself that is one that sees himself as this inherently good person, and there's no need, therefore, for transparency in what he does. And he believes that his behavior, that his power will be enhanced and made more effective if he can do everything in secret, which is true. When you can act in secret, you are able to act more powerfully, and that this is a desirable end because his power is a good thing. And I believe that's what's driving it.
And the paradox, of course, here is that the constitutional law professor in him compels him in some way to codify this and to bring it within some type of schema of statutory authority, and which is incredibly problematic in that, one, we are now taking stuff that was initiated in many respects by a administration that, by all accounts, had gone rogue in some respects, and now it is being codified into law. So all of these powers that President Obama perceives that he should have because of his very nature are now going to be imparted to any president who follows him.
I mean, this is always the key point. There's two key points about this. One is that whenever the government wants to abuse rights, they always target, in the first instance, somebody that they think is marginalized and unpopular so that people will acquiesce to it or be supportive of it. And once that happens, those rights abuses get institutionalized, and nobody can object after that once other targets start to emerge. And that's exactly what happened. That's why they first embraced this theory by targeting WikiLeaks, knowing that journalists hate WikiLeaks and that nobody would mind. But then once nobody minds, that theory becomes institutionalized. And then when they start applying it to people these journalists like, there's no way to object. But the converse of it is what you just said, which is that you can vest a certain political leader with power because you trust that politician to exercise it for the good. So if you like Obama and you trust him, you can say, I'm fine with him targeting U.S. citizens for execution without due process by CIA drone because I trust him to only kill the bad people. Or I'm fine with him engaging in things in secret. I'm fine with him deciding which journalists should be labeled criminals because I trust him to exercise it appropriately. But the next time there's a GOP president and a Republican administration or Republican Justice Department decides that an MSNBC journalist should be labeled a criminal or even be prosecuted, it'll be almost impossible for any good progressives who support what Obama is doing now to object because they will have endorsed the principle that the president has this power, and you cannot support a power being invested in a president whom you like and then turn around and object to that power being in the hands of a president you dislike. That is not how political systems work. The president either has a particular power or they don't. And whether the power is one that you support should be determined by how that power to be exercised by a president that you don't trust, not one that you do trust.
And lastly, Glenn, how does this, to the extent that there's any chance that this policy direction, this drift, as it were, or I don't know if drift maybe understates it, is reversed? How does this end? I mean, I don't see a huge concern amongst the American public. You raise the issue that largely those on the left who had problems with this during the Bush administration are silent in this regard. I mean, we're starting to see some media pay attention to this. But how does it? How does this get reversed? I mean, do we need a massive scandal on the size of I don't know. I'm just looking. What is our COINTELPRO moment? What is our Watergate moment? When is there any mechanism to reverse this? Because I don't see anybody in Congress really stepping up on this issue to the extent that we see even the Republicans complain about it. They have no problem with the AP thing. It's all IRS or Benghazi at this point.
Right, and you even saw Mitch McConnell came out and said that and defended Obama, the Obama administration, in terms of the AP controversy on the grounds that national security leaks are very dangerous and we need to investigate them. And it wasn't surprising that the Republicans were supportive of attacking journalists since the Bush administration started to do that as well. We'll see what happens with the Fox, now that Fox is in the crosshairs. But I think the key point here is that, if you read what the founders talked about in terms of how abuses of power would be checked and constrained, the assumption that they had was that human beings were desirous of power and freedom, and that therefore it would be the role of each institution to defend its own prerogative. So if the executive branch tried to encroach on congressional authority, it would be Congress that had the means to push back. And that principle applies to the media, so that the principal obligation to defend press freedom lies with journalists themselves. They have a significant amount of influence. And you saw this week, I think, with the targeting of the AP and then James Rosen, some pretty serious outcry on the part of journalists for the first time over what has been 5 years now of sustained Obama attacks on press freedom. It remains to be seen whether that will endure, how serious they will be. They do have weapons that they can use to push back against the administration. Whether they're serious enough about defending their press freedoms in order to use them, I think remains an open question. Of course, the problem with most journalism over the past decade has been an excessive deference to government power and a desire to stay in its good graces. And they have repeatedly avoided doing anything that would give rise to the kind of confrontations that the New York Times pursued with the Nixon administration 4 decades ago. it's certainly time for them to take seriously these threats to their own freedoms. If they don't do it, it's hard for me to see who will. It's their freedoms to. And I hope that they will continue doing what they did this last week with finally processing what a serious it really is and taking seriously their need to denounce it.
Glenn Greenwald, it is always both a pleasure and a horror to talk to you.
Thank you, Sam. That's very nice.